So we'll have just a quick run through of the agenda for excuse me if I keep saying this evening because it's evening for me, but for today's meeting. So obviously I'm the acting chair. I'm welcoming you. We'll introduce some trustees shortly. Then we're going to go into breakout rooms where you'll be thrown into a breakout room with other members from across the globe. And we encourage you all to sort of introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and the sort of work that you do. And try and make sure that everybody in your breakout room gets a chance to have a say. We'll record any apologies. We've received few from members around the world, so we will update you with those. We'll look at the minutes from last year's AGM and any matters arising. And then we'll just go through some of the key highlights for 2024-25, look at the annual accounts and adopt them. And then we're going to hear from the World Community Development Conference team for 2026 from Glasgow as they introduce you to the conference and invite you to join us all in Glasgow next year. We'll have some comments and questions, and then we're going to break out into a networking session and discussions before we come back for the final plenary. Sorry, and that's a whole lot of words. So we'll go to the next slide. Thanks, Anna.
I'm not sure about that at the minute. It doesn't want to move. Next.
Okay, I can see we've got some banners happening across the top. That's okay. So before we kick off into the main meeting, I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce the IACD team, and particularly the new executive. So Daniel, I'm going to introduce you, but I'm going to ask you to unmute and introduce yourself and say hello to everybody. So our incoming chair is Daniel from Kenya. And so Daniel, if you want to unmute, introduce yourself, say hello to everybody.
Thank you, Chair, and hello, colleagues in community development. As Michelle has indicated, my name is Daniel Muya, IACD Trustee of Sub-Saharan Africa, and I'm joining in from Nairobi, Kenya. As Michelle has indicated, we are in a transition, and it's with utmost humility that I accept my nomination as the chair of IACD, and I want to thank my colleagues on the IACD Board of Trustees for this great honor and trust. As allow me also to recognize and to congratulate the new officials who are also coming on board with me. Holly Shebe as our new vice chair, and Kiara Shannon and our secretary. That forms a new core to a large extent in the leadership of IACD. And as we make the transition, I want to invite all of us to also record a collective debt of gratitude to Anna Clark, who has been our chair until the transition into a new role as our strategic director, and Michelle, who has been our vice chair, and currently now the acting chair, for the great leadership that they have guided us through, and especially the work of transforming IACD that we continue to witness. And it is a foundation that, again, we are going to be building upon. And therefore, I'm calling upon the support and goodwill of all of us, trustees, the membership of IACD, and also the staff of IACD, as well as our partners, that we, as we work together, we still have a great opportunity to make IACD a lot more impactful, a lot more sustainable, and also a great voice and agency for community development globally. And this is a challenge for us, aware that we are operating in a world that is becoming increasingly shaky and unpredictable. But working together, we can make all the difference and take care of our discipline and practice. Thank you so much. We are one. Back to the chair.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel. And I feel honored to have been on the executive with Daniel for the last few years and look forward to his leadership. Holly Shive has been elected the new vice chair. Unfortunately for Holly, she's not with us this evening because it's some crazy hour of the day, of the middle of the night, I think, for her in the US. But Kira is with us, who is the incoming secretary. So Holly has been our secretary and held that role admirably for the last couple of years and is moving into vice chair, which has left the new incoming secretary as Kira. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Kira.
Thanks, Michelle. I'll keep this really brief because I'm coughing and I don't want to disrupt the meeting with it. But first of all, lovely to see so many people on the screen today. Delighted to be taking up the role as secretary and working closely with Anna as strategic director and Jessica and Daniel as chair, Holly as vice chair and Dawn as treasurer. I've been involved with IACD for 2 years now, I think. So I'm one of the European Regional Trustees. I'm part of the executive committee. And the last few months have been it was an interesting period because we went through the period of recruiting a new strategic director, which I think actually for those of us in particular on the executive was a time when we got to know each other really well because we had to take up some work, yeah, and roles that we hadn't, or some elements of supporting IACD in a way that we didn't have before. So it's been really good to get to know Daniel and Holly and Michelle and Dawn and others better. And I look forward to working closely with people. Thanking Michelle for stepping into the role over the last period, and look forward to her being still on the screen at times, just with a different hat on. And that's all I'd say for now. So look forward to the rest of the AGM today and talking to more of you in small groups. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kira. And of course, Dawn Brown is continuing on as treasurer. And Dawn is unable to join us today, but we have got a recording from her a little bit later with the finances. But now we're actually going to spin you guys out into breakout rooms for maybe about 8 minutes, Jessica, if that's possible. Yeah, so you'll be joining a small group. So if you can introduce yourself, country and the IACD global region that you're coming from, and a bit about your work. Because whilst everybody's been introducing themselves, I've just had a quick look through, and I think we're actually represented by every IACD region around the world, which is pretty amazing. Particularly to see, I'm always excited when I see someone join from South America. So it's great that we've got somebody from everywhere. So over to you, Jessica, spin everybody out.
Yep, I'll open the rooms now.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great yarn with whoever you found yourself in a room with. We had great diversity in our room and it was a good chat. And I must apologise to my fellow trustees. I was so excited for everybody to get to meet and yarn with somebody else that I forgot to introduce the rest of the trustees. And what I'm actually going to do is, because I'm looking at there's so many screens to go through, I'm just trying to see who else is here with us. What I might do is just if you're a trustee, if you can give us a wave. I can see Shirley's there, Janine, Marlon. So we've got that's Sub-Saharan Africa. We've got Asia. I'm just trying to see who else is on the screen.
From USM.
Hunter, sorry, Hunter. I shouldn't forget you because I know you're up at crazy time. Jean there giving us a wave. And yep, Kira, we've heard from.
Sinead is here too, I think.
Yep, sorry, it's hard. I'm flicking across different screens. If I've not mentioned you, please accept my apologies as I go through. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Jessica, who is our superwoman that runs everything that's got to do with IACD. So if ever you reach out to membership, you're connecting with Jessica. So thank you, Jessica, for another great 12 months. And Hunter, I can see you've got your hand up. Did you want to add something? No? Cool. All righty. So let's keep cracking as we go through the AGM, and back to Anna sharing her screen. So yeah, I hope you had a great chance to have a conversation with somebody and connect. So we just want to remind those of you that are here that are members, and I'm aware that there are a couple of people that are either new to IACD or are still wondering whether you're going to become a member. So we appreciate everybody that's here. The vision of IACD is of collective and globally connected community development practice, founded on and leading to community empowerment, equity, human rights, social justice, participatory democracy, and sustainable development. And I'm sure when you were in your breakout rooms, you had people working in all those different parts of community development. And of course, our mission is to promote a values-based community development as a practice of self-determination and facilitating networks and sharing learning opportunities for our global membership. And I know I didn't use the word empowerment because I do not like that word. It is, for me, a colonial construct. So I will always, when I see empowerment, I will change it to self-determination. So it was a big conversation when we were developing our mission. And just quickly, we're going to just go over our values. So at IACD, we're sort of guided by our 5 main values that you can see on the screen. I'm not going to read through each of them, and I can hear you all sighing with relief there, but they are available on our website. But I think it's just important that we remember that the work that we do isn't to people or for people. The idea of community development is that we work with and alongside communities to support whatever initiatives that they're wanting to work on, rather than us actually doing too. Where people are the experts of their own communities, and our role is to walk alongside communities and support them. So next slide, Anna. So the minutes from the last AGM have been circulated to all members. And now is an opportunity if you've got any questions, and then we need somebody who was at the last AGM to actually move that the minutes be accepted and everybody agrees to approve them. Sorry, I can't move them because last year's AGM was in the middle of the night for me, so I was unable to attend. But maybe Anna, that's something that you could potentially move the minutes.
Not anymore. It's better if that comes from a member rather than a member of
Sorry.
staff. So
Daniel.
Daniel or Kira, Janine.
I'm happy to do that. As far as I can recall, I was there.
Okay, I move to second.
Fantastic. And are there any matters arising that are not on the agenda that we spoke about earlier? If anybody's got any questions. So is everybody in favour? And I know I can't see everybody's screen, so if you're not in favour, maybe unmute and yell out. Otherwise, we'll assume that everybody's in favour. Excellent, thank you. I can see, for those that are on screen that I can see thumbs ups and all those sorts of things. So thank you, everybody. So we thought not everybody's got a chance to sit through and read the annual report. So we thought we'd just give you a bit of an overview of the work and reporting on the work that we've been doing in the last 12 months from the board trustee, and also many members have been on the journey with us and have been involved in some of the work that we're doing. So the work that IACD does revolves around our 3 strategic priorities, which you can see on the screen there. So we're going to report on each of those priorities, just a bit of an overview of the work that we've actually been doing. And we also invite you as members to reach out if you'd like to be involved in any of the work. We're always happy to welcome members to any of the subcommittees or any of the initiatives that IACD is working on. So I'm going to take us through to our strategic priority 1, and we'll just go through some of the things that we've been doing. So in strategic priority 1, it's really about the advocacy work that we do for community development, and championing community participation, self-determination, solidarity, and agency. So we always hold at the heart of IACD where we can to amplify the voices of marginalised communities. We attend UN summits to promote community development as a practice on the international stage. We also have representation at the UN Forum on Minority Issues in Geneva. We've responded to the UN Global Consultation on Social Development. We have also issued 2 statements marking International Women's Day and International Day Against Racism. We've held in the last 12 months 5 global forums for community development educators and researchers. And we've been promoting the international standards in CD practice. There's been 2 new translations in the last 12 months. We've run 2 workshops with over 80 participants and shared two new podcasts. So that's sort of what we've covered in priority 1. And then we move on to priority 2, which is around that support and collaborating with members and the broader field of community development to promote opportunities for people to connect, to exchange, and for professional development. So to that end, we've published 2 editions of the Practice Insights. So as you can see there, the Community Development and Human Rights edition, and the edition that's dear to my heart, which was the World Community Development Conference in 2023. So we've also hosted over 20 regional meetings and topic-themed webinars with over 1,000 participants from around the globe. And this is an opportunity as members for you to connect on a more regular basis, but also for you to reach out to your regional trustee if you've got a burning topic or theme that you'd love to host a session on. We've also been forging new relationships with national and international organisations, particularly those based around community development. We've represented IACD and promoted community development at numerous national conferences and gatherings that all of the trustees from around the world attend. We've launched new branding. So some of you who may not have been as involved this year as you would have liked to have been might have noticed we've got a new logo. If you've jumped on the website recently, it's all new and fresh. And we've also been strengthening our social media presence across all of our platforms, which are Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We made a decision earlier in the year to actually depart from Twitter, which is now called X, for many reasons. But we discussed it as a board of trustees and decided that maybe that wasn't the kind of place that we wanted to be hanging out anymore. And we've also maintained a really stable membership base, which, takes a lot of work, and we appreciate all of you that renew your membership and support IACD every year. Let's move on to priority 3. I'm exhausted just reading all of these, let alone having been a part of a lot of this work. So priority 3 is probably one of the most important things for an organisation, is to make sure that, we're going to be here next year. So thinking about our sustainability, being well governed and an effective organisation. So we've launched a new 5-year strategic plan, which many members from around the globe had input into. We've recruited 6 new trustees. We've had a cycle of board meetings, committee meetings throughout the year. We have obviously the main trustees meeting, we have executive meetings, and then we also have our subcommittee meetings as well. We've adopted new trustee guidelines, which is basically a bit of a how-to trustee book for all of our trustees so that we know what's required of us in our roles. And we've agreed on 2 key proposals to support membership growth and strategic growth to ensure the sustainability of IACD. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to ask before we talk about some of the upcoming activities and work, you've heard a lot from me. I'm going to ask Daniel and Kira if either of you wanted to add anything, or any of the other trustees before we move on.
Michelle, I think from my end, I've nothing much to add. It's only that to indicate that there is still a lot of consultation that is going on as we continue to look at how to support Anna Clark in a new role as a strategic director, and all input from all of us will be very welcome, so that then we can see how to shape the work of IACD going forward. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, so unless any other trustees wanted to chime in and add anything, I'm happy to just go through, and this is only some of the upcoming activities and work that we've got for the next 12 months. So obviously every year we attempt to deliver 2 practice insights editions. So please keep your eye out when the call for abstracts or articles for those editions come out. We'll be working more on some policies and publications. There'll be more global researcher and CD education forums. We're looking at continuing to build that regional membership and provide regional networking opportunities. It's great that we can meet over Zoom and Teams, but nothing beats actually meeting face to face. So, I encourage, if you've got other IACD members in your neck of the woods, reach out to them and organise to catch up for a cuppa and share your stories. It's always great when you've got a bit of a community of practice around you to support you. We'll also continue promotion of the international standards through workshops and resources. And again, we're always looking at adding new translations to the international standards. So if that's a skill set that you've got that you'd like to share and your language isn't already translated, let us know. There'll be a program of webinars that'll be regional, but also thematic. And as I said before, if you've got a burning issue that you'd like to share or be a part of, certainly reach out to your regional trustee. We'll continue to engage with the UN and other fora. We're looking at community of practice initiatives, and obviously the big one for 2026 is the World Community Development Conference in Glasgow, which we're going to hear a little bit more about shortly. And I encourage you all to start to get your abstracts in. We will make sure that the link for the website for Glasgow 2026 goes in the chat so you can all have a look. But now I'm going to hand over to Dawn. Whilst she's not with us, she has sent through her recording of the financial report. So Anna, if we can, fingers crossed this works.
I'm really sorry I can't be with you today. I'm Dawn Brown. I am the Treasurer for IACD, and it is my pleasure to present our accounts to you for the year ended 31st of March 2025. You'll see from looking at the income and expenditure for 2025 that we have again cautiously managed the organisation, and we are running at a slight loss on the income v expenditure, but this is at a manageable level. To go through that in a bit more detail, looking at our income, we are holding steady for a non-World Community Development Conference year in terms of the memberships and income coming in. I do have to draw your attention to the fact that in future years there will be a reduction from the £20,000 support from the Scottish Government. From 2025 and 2026 year, this will be £16,000 and will be subject to further negotiations for future years. So we do need to bear that in mind. In terms of our expenditure, you'll see that we do keep it tightly controlled. We did have a wage increase as good practice as good employers. And again, in 2025 and 26, this will see another increase with the Strategic Director being in post. This year, we have re-established the Funding Governance Oversight Group that will be with trustees to ensure that we have sensible and manageable budgets in place that are achievable and allow us to meet our goals as IACD. We've also undertaken an exercise recently to ensure that all of our outgoings are in line with best value and still needed. So we do keep a cautious eye on the income and expenditure of the organisation, as would be expected. Looking forward, in 2025-26, as you'll be aware, is the World Community Development Conference coming up in Glasgow. So we will have an income boost from that coming in and hopefully see an upturn in membership, which will, from people that come on to take on the members-only pricing for that. And we also have our strategic director in place in Anna Clark, which will help us look at widening that diversity of our funding portfolio, which will allow us to be a sustainable and well-managed organisation going forward. I'm really sorry I'm not here to take any questions. If there are any, please feel free to submit them either today through the chat or through colleagues, and I will get back to you with that. And again, apologies I can't be with you. Thanks then. Goodbye.
Wonderful. So thank you, Dawn, who, even though she couldn't be here, took the time to actually do that recording. Please, if there are any questions regarding the finances, either pop them in the chat. And in the absence of Dawn, I'm actually going to move that the 2025 finances be accepted. And I'm looking for a seconder.
Question, Michelle. John is asking,
Yes.
it would be helpful to know if there are some reserves of funds, especially if there's been a loss for a couple of years. I don't know if someone can answer to that.
Yeah, sure. What you saw there is the profit and loss. I'm not sure, Anna, in the actual annual report, does it show the statement of accounts with the reserves?
Yeah, there are detailed accounts available and there are reserves.
Yeah.
Those are
So, yeah,
available. Yeah, this is
yeah.
just a
So,
summary.
yeah, you should be able to, Janine, find those in the annual report, which gives the full finances. What Dawn has just gone over there is basically the profit and loss for the last period.
Maybe Michelle, just for clarification, in the question there is an indication that it's like there's been a loss in a couple of years, but possibly what might need to be stated is that there hasn't been any loss. Is that the incomes have been going down in terms of what you've been receiving from the Scottish government, but there's always been a healthy balance in IACD.
Sorry, Daniel, I'm just trying to read some of the comments. Okay, there's actually, I'm taking on board what Aaron's saying, that he's saying that the actual, the balance sheet's not in the annual report. Can we get,
No, there is a summary in the annual report. The full
Yeah.
full accounts go to the charity, the Office of the Scottish Charity Commission, so they will all be published on the Charity Commission's website.
Not.
yeah,
They've all been
And I'm-
produced by an external accountant on our behalf.
mm, mm.
The full account.
So it would be great to know, because I'm looking at the annual report now, it's not in there, the balance
there's
sheet.
there's a summary in the annual report.
The annual report only has the P&L for the last 2 years, is all I can see.
And that's been the practice for us previously as well in our annual reports. But there's absolutely there's no issue about providing full detailed accounts for anybody who would like to view them.
Mm.
They've been signed off by the board and will be published on the website of the Charity Commission for Scotland.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, and I hadn't picked it up in the annual report, because yeah, normally you would have the balance sheet as well as the profit and loss, so that members can see that the organisation has got those reserves. But Aaron, if you like, and any other members, if you're wanting to see the full financials, please reach out to Jessica at membership at IACD global.com or .org.
Org.
Gosh,
.org.
.org. Sorry,
I'll-
I'm having
I will
blank.
put my email in the chat.
Yeah, fantastic.
good.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that would be helpful in future years to include that as context, because it's hard to know what an operating deficit means without that. The other thing I wanted to ask was, am I reading it right that we have somewhere around 550 members, but annual fees and subscriptions are only £7,000?
That's correct, Aaron. We have lots of student members, which are free memberships.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
Is that something, who's the membership person? Is it a be useful to get
We have
that?
we have a subcommittee, Aaron,
Okay.
and I haven't got the breakdown here, but we can certainly share that at any time.
Oh, it's all good. Just curious as to how that breaks down. That's all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Marlon, I can see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning for the benefit of everyone that there are also members who are lifetime membership, which means not paying anymore on an annual basis, but able to pay for certain bigger amount, no, for a lifetime membership. Yeah, just to contribute to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon. Laurie.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to check if you'd seen or addressed a comment in the chat from Francis. He's asking about plans to diversify revenue in the future, basically, I think.
Thanks, Laurie. And as you know, sorry, Laurie is one of our trustees from North America, and we're always looking at diversifying our income, and that's why, as you would have heard in Dawn's presentation, that the Finance and Fundraising Subcommittee has been reinstated or has reformed in recent months. And if anybody's interested in being a part of that, please sing out. We're always looking for new ideas, new ways, looking for other support. We can't always rely on the Scottish Government. So if there's other opportunities, and if you've got links to philanthropy, government, anywhere where they could potentially, any organisations or funders that could support us, we're always looking for that. So, and obviously the conference helps diversify funding as well, so we get a good income stream from the conferences that we run as well. Okay, are there any other questions before I hand over to the Glasgow team to introduce you to WCDC 2026 in Glasgow?
Sorry, Michelle, sorry to interrupt. I
That's
know
okay.
you moved to adopt the accounts. I don't
sorry.
know if that was completed.
No, thank you, Anna. I did say to Anna yesterday, I'm going, it's going to be really late, and the longer the AGM goes, the more tired I'll get, so I'll forget things. So thank you for picking that up. Yes, so I'm happy to move the financial report. Is anybody able to second? If you can
I'm
sing
happy
out.
to second.
I,
I'm happy to second,
I,
Michelle.
I'm
Oh, thanks, Janine.
second.
Yep. And is everybody in favour?
Yes.
Unless I hear any no's, I'm again going to make that assumption. I'm flicking across the screen seeing thumbs up, but yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so thank you all. I'm now going to hand over to Sinead, I think. Is that right, Anna?
Yes, that's right.
Fantastic. I'm going to hand over to Sinead. But maybe before we hear from Sinead, maybe can we see the video, a little sneak peek into Glasgow for 2026?
Okay, I'm going to click on this and hope it works for everybody.
Excellent. I hope you all enjoyed that little trip to Glasgow. And yeah, I'm going to hand over to Sinead to tell us all why we need to be in Glasgow.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. And I hope that that wait wasn't too long for what was quite a short video. I'm also losing my voice, and I promise that that's not going to happen to you if you come to Glasgow. It is that the university doesn't quite have heating just yet because they don't think it should come on for another month. So my apologies if my voice is coming in and out. I'm not sure, Michelle, whether you can go on to the website or not, or if that's going to be take too long, but just to show people that the website, that what's on, you can see that it's community development in a chaotic world, challenge, change and collective action. And across the top there, we've got details about what we've already got planned, which is quite significant already at this stage. So on the 29th, kicking us off on the 29th of June, we're going to have an international reception in the historic Glasgow City Chambers, where the Lord Provost or one of their representatives will come and greet you to the city of Glasgow. And then we have a packed 3-day programme. We're still waiting on those abstracts that I hope you're all going to submit to see who's going to be in that programme. And we have already booked the amazing Ora Moore, which is an old converted church, for a really impressive gala dinner, along with a Keeley band, so lots of Scottish dancing, where I expect people to get up and be doing that. We have the venue booked in one of our newest buildings in the university, and you can see under the venue tab some videos and some information about that building as well, a fully accessible building. We also have planned some really exciting practice exchanges for after the main conference. So we have a 1-day practice exchange, which is going to bring people to the south side of Glasgow. And you can find more information and also a lot more videos on the website. So we've already populated that website with quite a lot of information. There's another 1 day to the north of Glasgow. Janine, I expect you to be wearing a kilt. I mean, I think that's mandatory. I'm just seeing that in the chat. So absolutely, kilts for everyone. We also then will have a 2-day practice exchange that will bring you out to the beautiful Loch Lomond and Dumbarton and the Trossachs, and again have a look at the video for around that big back garden that it said about in that initial video. And then to connect our Celtic partners and our Celtic cousins, and obviously just for me to go home, we are having a 3-day practice exchange to Belfast in the north of Ireland. So we will arrange buses and transport to get the boat over to Ireland from Glasgow for a 3-day practice exchange and 3 nights accommodation in Belfast, alongside political walking tours and seeing community development practice in a contested society. So thinking about that as well. So there's loads of information already on the website, and some practicalities in terms of accommodation. You'll be able to see that we've got travel arrangements and accommodation information as well, but if anyone's got specific questions, do please get in touch. The university is focused in the west end of the city, and so accommodation around there or the city centre, it's fairly accessible. So the early bird rates are there, and you can see here the call for abstracts. We have a 300-word abstract or a 3-minute video as well for those people who would prefer that means of submitting an abstract. And they're under these 3 themes of this challenge, change and collective action. And we anticipate that each day will facilitate to one of those themes. So please do, and of course there will be a crossover, but please do get your abstracts submitted. Happy to take any questions. I know that I've just kind of talked at you quite a lot, so please do, if there's any questions about the conference, give me a shout. Otherwise, we can't wait to see you in Scotland and Glasgow. Thanks, Michelle.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sinead. I know I'm looking forward to it, and I'm trying to recruit as many Australians to join me as well. So we're hoping to bring over a bit of a delegation. So my challenge to my Kiwi brothers and sisters is, let's actually get a whole mob of us going over from this part of the world. So the challenge is out there. to all my friends in Aotearoa to see how many we can get across to Scotland. Are there any comments or questions for the Glasgow team? And I'm saying Glasgow team, are you the only one online at the moment, Sinead?
I think we've got Eddie online as well, and the rest of my colleagues. We're in full teaching mode, so the rest of my colleagues are all teaching our community development students.
Yes, I'm here as well. Hello.
Eddie's not teaching.
Yes, I've just rushed down from teaching, so I was in a bit late. Yeah, really looking forward to hosting it next year. It's going to be great fun. Oh, sorry. Yeah, really looking forward to it next year. It's going to be great fun. The team are really buzzing about it. So we're just, as Sinead says, we're just kind of picking out the best places to go to and look at, and the venues and the practice placement visits, just to give people the best experience of not only Glasgow but Scotland and the surrounding area. So it's really buzzing for it.
Fiona, I've seen you put a message in the chat that says weather report. Now, I would love to say to you that we will have bright blue skies, the sun will be shining, and that's highly possible in June or July. But I would recommend packing a wee raincoat just in case, right? But I'm hoping, and as Claire says, we're going to have full sun pretty much the whole time.
Thanks, Sinead. I'd just like Tasmanian weather really then.
Thanks. I can see Marlon, you've got your hand up, and then Anastasia.
Yeah, I have a question for Sinead. Sinead, I'm not sure if you mentioned about will there be, I saw a community development journal. Will the paper to be presented be published possibly in this journal, or is that your intention?
Yeah, thanks, Marlon. We actually have two journals. We've had another journal come in as well, but the Community Development Journal have really kindly supported the conference. And what they have agreed to do is potentially run a special issue from the conference so that participants who are presenting at the conference can also have the potential opportunity to turn that into an academic publication within the Community Development Conference, within the Community Development Journal. We also have another journal, which is JACE, the Journal of Adult and Continuing Education, who have also said how interested they are in this conference and about the inputs, and they also would like to look at doing some sort of special edition. So for the participants who come, please do think about the abstracts as being a larger part of potentially a publication, and we can look at supporting that or doing that in connection with other people, because we anticipate that there'll be two journals that we'll be able to get out of the conference.
Anastasia, you had a question as well? You're on mute, Anastasia.
I just wanted to say well done to Sinead and to all the colleagues on the work that you've done so far. I'm glad you've been able to organise the Belfast visit as well. That was something it was difficult for us to do from Maynooth in 2018 because, as you know, Ireland and the north of Ireland, or Northern Ireland, as some people will call it, are two different jurisdictions. So I'm very glad that you were able, since from that point of view, Scotland and the north of Ireland are the one jurisdiction. I'm very glad that you were able to organise that, so well done.
Brilliant, thanks, Anastasia. Michelle, there's another question here in the chat from Francis in relation to how our WCDC planning to ensure that practitioners from Africa and other underrepresented regions can actively participate. And thank you for that question. It's really important for the conference and for IACD. I guess it's fair to say that running a conference in in Glasgow at this stage is obviously very expensive, and we don't get anything free from the university. So I'll say that straight up front. So we pay for everything in terms of every room and every bit of catering and everything. What we're trying to do, and we're working really hard in the background with our international partners, but also our local partners, is to try and get some sources of additional funding. So there's a couple of things that we can do, as Claire mentioned earlier. People can pay it forward. So those people who are in more privileged backgrounds, who have a bit more resources, can pay it forward to give us a bit more of an additional budget that we can help those who may not have the resources to be able to attend. The other thing that we're trying to do is trying to get additional sponsors to be able to come and to try and give us a little bit of a budget for those who may not have as much money. But as Claire says, that pay it forward is one way, and we're certainly doing our very, very best. Under what I have to say, we're under very, very tight restraints in Glasgow. There is not a lot of money floating about, so we really need to make this as accessible but also achievable and successful as possible. But we are doing our best in the background. John, online. At the moment, John and Janine, both online. At the moment, we haven't planned anything for online sessions. And there's a number of reasons for that. I'm not saying that it's definitely off the table. However, for the past kind of 3-4 years, we've been online, and we've done a huge amount online in terms of, IACD and these connections online. The difficulty with us promising that we can do it online is that we then would need to have a significant additional technical support, and we would need to buy that in. So it would actually cost quite a significant amount of money to be able for us to buy that in, to be able to get technical support to do online. Now, for those people who have been to hybrid conferences before, what we really want to avoid is that it's just a poor experience for both. So ideally, our first point of call is to try and get as many people here as possible. And then potentially, if we really feel it's necessary to try and do the online. I totally understand why people are asking that, but it is logistically very, very difficult. And also, even if we only do a couple of sessions, John, we would still need to buy in technical support. We've already looked into it, and the technical support would be on a day rate, and we would have to buy that in. So if that was the case, we would need to do a full day essentially to be able to get that usefulness out. So we are looking into these options, but I have to say it's not quite as straightforward as us kind of hooking people up.
Yeah, thanks, Sinead. And there might be opportunities that we can work with members who are really tech savvy, that we might be able to do, YouTube streaming, or like we did at the Darwin conference, we didn't film every session, but we tried to video the plenary so that at least we could share that afterwards. So happy to work with you, Sinead, and the team to come up with other options as well, because I know it's difficult for people. But also I encourage, if you're wherever you are in the world, is reach out to local universities or philanthropic organizations to try and source your own funding as well. That's what we're doing here from Australia, to try and bring some of the crew from Darwin up, along with a Dig player, to welcome you all in as part of the handover on opening day. So yeah, whilst IACD and the University of Glasgow team do all they can, there's also an opportunity for you to reach out to your networks, because I think we all appreciate that at the moment, for a lot of countries, the belts are very tight, so it can be really difficult. So, if there are no other. Oh, we go.
Meg has a suggestion.
Meg's raising her hand. She's in Glasgow and happy to help out. So, Meg, you might want to message Sinead in the chat, your email or phone contacts or something like that so she can reach out. Excellent. See, you ask and the universe delivers. So excellent. I think I'm handing over to Anna, who is our new strategic director at IACD, and really want to welcome Anna to that role. And there was lots of discussions because obviously as chair, Anna stood down and actually left the IACD board so that she could apply for the role. So I'm going to hand over to you now, Anna, because I'm starting to run out of words. Yeah, so over to you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And thank you everybody for all your contributions during the meeting. We are running a little bit behind time, but do feel that it's still very important to give members the opportunity to get into smaller groups and just reflect on some of the things that you've heard during the meeting. Obviously, it's a full year's body of work up until the end of March this year. We're now into a new year, well into it. But we're also really keen to hear from our members about what you're currently working on, what are the issues within your community development practice right now, and in what ways do you feel that connects with IACD and our mission and purpose and the strategic priorities that our work is framed around. So if those of you that are able to could maybe stay with us for maybe an extra 10 minutes, that would give us time for some breakout rooms just to consider these two questions, and then we'll come back together again for a bit of a plenary. And by all means, if there are things that you've heard that you maybe have some another question around or a comment, that can be fed back as well. So we're going, sorry, I'm going to lose my voice now. We're going to break you up into small groups and just ask you to consider those two questions. If you could maybe nominate somebody from the group who will give us a little bit of feedback, doesn't need to be everything, just sort of a couple of the key points that you've discussed. We'll have a short plenary and then we'll produce a little write-up of that as well so that everybody's got a record. Okay, so Jessica, can I hand over to you?
Yes, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
How are we doing for time? Maybe about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll come back for a short plenary.
I'd love to hear what anybody spoke about. We had a great yarn in our room. Jane and I we've been in the same room every time, so I feel like I've got a new buddy. But yeah, if anybody would like to share anything, for any bits of gold from their conversation, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Chloe has a hand up, I think.
Yeah, I might just share a few bits from our room. I was in a room with Stacia, Daniel, and Mario. We just had a conversation, kind of an update what we were doing, and Daniel was saying that they're coming up on their 20th anniversary doing their monthly webinars. So congratulations for their region, and that's great to have that from members. And Stacia shared some thoughts and reflections about globally how we feel, especially in Ireland, we're being pushed to the right. There's discourse. She's doing a lot of work with minority rights groups. And she was just in Scotland with yourself, Anna, yesterday at the CDAS conference. There is a lot of racism, and we need to stand together to be courageous and work towards eradicating poverty, racism and discrimination, and other forms of oppression, and look for diversity in all communities. And then Mario was sharing some information around environmental work they're doing, where a metro system is killing trees. And also we had a broader discussion around linking educational community work and ensuring that you're doing community work in your own universities and teaching institutions as well as just teaching it with people. You have to do the work to be able to teach it. So I thought that was an interesting point to emphasize. And I think that's a kind of a summary of what we said, but maybe Daniel or Mario will add into anything we've forgotten. And Stacey just gave her apologies. She has to leave now.
I think just what Claire said, we finished at a point where we were talking about scaling up the voice of IACD in terms of advocating for global recognition of the discipline and practice of community development. And we are saying that can be also be leveraged on a common understanding and adoption of the standards of community development. Thank you.
Thanks, Chloe and Daniel. Anybody else wanting to add a bit of an essence of their conversation? Yeah, Abigail, did you want to?
Yes, I was with Claire, Laurie, Cornell, and somebody else from Ghana. I can't remember his name. Ghana. But the conversation we had, I think, was around strong work that we are doing, and it seemed that everybody was connected to Cornell somehow. But the thing that Cornell said that I liked was the work that they're doing for legislating community development in South Africa and using the IACD as a basis for a lot of the work that went into it. And if it's going to be launched, I'm thinking perhaps that may be a direction for us, some of us, to go. I'd like to see something like that transfer over to the National University in Belize. So I'm thinking that that may be a direction. That's my takeaway from the group, that we're all doing great work, obviously, and we're all constrained, and we all have to keep doing what we're doing. I like the comment about practicing to be able to teach on it and practicing from different perspectives. So that too was a part of work, whether it's working with youth, working on housing, and housing is an issue everywhere, it seems, that we have to be going back to. But my takeaway from all groups discussion was perhaps there is a nugget in the work that Colonel Hart is engaged in with the South Africa legislation, etc., that could be built on for beyond the standards to go into actual legislation and education programming. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Abigail. We've probably got time for one more group. Somebody
Michelle,
wants to share.
this is Lori here. I just want to
Yep.
make sure you, in case you haven't seen Michael, he's had his hand up for a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you, Laurie. Michael, sorry, I didn't see you with your hand up there.
It's a lot of people to look at.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laurie. I hope I do justice to what we talked in our group about. In our group, there was Marlon from the Philippines, Peter from the US, and Muriki from Kenya. What particularly resonated was, to me, is Muriki's work in not just Kenya, but all of Africa, advocating communities that are exposed to, he didn't use the word, I'm using it, to probably challenging projects coming from outside and not knowing their legal rights to either defend or protect themselves or to negotiate in their interests. So he's doing that kind of work, which I think is tremendously important in a world that is increasingly still exploitive. And the need from us could be, you know, either sponsorship for someone doing this full time, or knowing organizations that might support this kind of advocacy work. Then I raised the issue of a new impulse to community development known as development practice. And not going into that, but you know, I'd like to, I'm submitting an abstract for our meet gathering in Glasgow for a workshop to introduce that approach, knowing that we've discussed earlier here online that social work and community development is kind of already occupied with so many needs and things to do that often it does not really include sustainable development, and there's so many solutions out there that should be accessible to all communities who need whatever solution they need. Peter and Marlon, did I miss out on anything?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect, Michael.
Yeah, all good, Michael.
Brilliant. Thank you all. Sounds like there was some great conversations, and I know our group certainly had brilliant conversations, and I just want to share Harley was very enthusiastic. He's had a brilliant couple of days in Adelaide working with community. And I think that he was buzzing and his energy was electric still in our group. So thank you. Okay, we are now coming to the end of the 2025 IACD AGM. I just want to, and I know we're running over time, but just putting it out there if anybody's got any other business that they want to raise before we wrap up this evening, this morning, this afternoon. Mario.
Yeah, just I have a question because we are also thinking strategically here on our course on social cultural animation, community development, and my colleagues actually they were the one thinking about it by the way I talk about AACD, and if there is some some way, or if does it fit somehow in the IACD organization to, like, it's not credit, but to certify or to recognize a certain kind of training as a training that promotes community development. So because we are also looking for these recognitions, especially for students, for our own directions, for the mission of our course. So I don't know if it's a little bit strange to put this here, but I think this is a general assembly, so maybe it can fit. You don't have to answer me now, but this is something that maybe some other comrades here will have the same matters in their own realities. So was I clear, or my English?
Yeah, certainly, Mario. Thank you for adding that. And Daniel, I don't know if you want to respond or if you just want to hold that question for Mario.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And I mean, this is a discussion that is going to be held by the Publications and Professional Development Committee. Is an issue that has been coming up, and in the recent webinar, which was facilitated by Cornell in our region, it's an issue that came out strongly about aspects of accreditation and professionalizing some of the things we do, including training. And of necessity, then, of course, there is an issue that will call us into looking at how then do we accredit what and acknowledge what is being taught. And of course, that will call for a bit of standardization from us. IACD may not be able to do it immediately, but with the kind of stature that we have, we can start looking for pathways of enhancing the voice of the discipline, and also seeing how then we put together some structure, which then will give that kind of accreditation in place. It's a discussion that was held a few years back, and it was never concluded. But now that it keeps on coming up, I think it's something that we need now to put to rest.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I just want to note, Michelle, in case you didn't see it, but in the chat, Abigail mentioned providing a certificate through IACD could be a way to diversify financial resources and revenue as well.
Thanks, Laurie. Yeah, I did see that in the chat. Yeah, so and that's options that the new, as Daniel said, the Publications and Professional Development subcommittee can look at. There's also an opportunity for any members to join that subcommittee and can reach out to Daniel around that. But it's also something that the fundraising and financial subcommittee can certainly be looking at. So, yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you all for your time. Janine, yes, sorry.
Just to say, maybe Mario could drop an email to Daniel, as a member of the PPD team, just to give him a brief overview of what kind of thing you're looking for, and then we, in our next meeting, the PPD team, we can discuss it.
Yes, I was thinking of it. Thank you very much for forcing.
Thanks, Mario.
Can I just come in on that as well very briefly?
Yeah,
I
sure,
realise
Jane.
over time, just to say it might be worth thinking strategically about how existing, like in Scotland, we have the CLD Standards Council for Scotland that recognise our programmes where we teach community development and the students get a professional qualification. Similarly, I'm expecting in Ireland, Anna and colleagues. So it may be that we need to, as IACD, look at like with the international standards, conversations with existing bodies as a kind of tentative reach out in terms of whether there's something we could connect with across that. Just kind of throwing that out as something we might want to think about. And Mario, we have qualifying programs, so if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to have conversations about that. I'm at Dundee University in Scotland.
Thank you. I was there in 2019. It was.
Oh, nice. Wasn't it fun?
Yeah.
Claire McGilvery was at the forefront of that. It was amazing.
Scotland is always
Yeah.
worst
Well, you can come back to Dundee and we can chat about that.
Okay, sure. I will.
Yeah, grand.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's been great conversations and some great ideas. And please, as members of IACD, we love nothing more than getting ideas and suggestions and that from members. And we also encourage you, if you have a great idea, come on that journey with us. Don't just throw the idea to IACD and go, done. You guys run away and do it. We're a small committee and a very active working committee. We do all do this as volunteers. So if you've got an idea that you want to see come to fruition, please bring it to Daniel and the team. But please be involved in it too. Don't just dump it on our lap and go, well, I'm done. I've put my idea out there. You guys do it, because it's your idea. We'd love you to be on that journey. Excellent. Well, if there are no other questions, no other comments, thank you all. It's getting very, very late for me. And for those of you, some of you, I know it's morning, it's lunchtime, it's evening, whatever time of the day it is, go well. And thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Michelle.
Thanks, everyone.
Jessica.
Bye.
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 Bye.